This problem says to sketch the graph of y equals 1 minus x squared and identify any intercepts. Now your first guess would be that that is a parabola because it's a quadratic. So if you wanted to, if you know how to graph from this form, you are all set. And you can say that there's no movement on the x-axis, there's only movement up on the y, and you would sketch your parabola that looks like this. Now, if you did not know how to do that just by recognizing that function, then we'll go through it by hand. But in calculus, you should be able to go right from that function into the graph and recognize that that is a quadratic with a shift up the y-axis and intercepts at 1 and -1. But if you didn't know that, you know that x-intercepts are when y is 0. So let's do that. And to solve that, you would factor that quadratic and to get two binomials, 1 minus x, 1 plus x. When is that 0? And that happens when x is at plus or minus 1. And there we have our -1 and 1 on our graph. If you want the y-intercepts, then x is 0. So if you plug that into the function, x is 0, you would get y equals 1. And there you go. Axis of symmetries are when you have a function and its mirror image is right through the middle of the function. So that happens when x is 0. And there you have it. This problem asks you to write equations for a parallel and perpendicular line to 3x plus 4y is 7. So, and it has to be through the point -6, 4. So first of all, we have to find slope. Well, if you take the equation that was given, and if you do -a over b, I don't know how many of you remember, that is the slope of any line in standard form. For this line, that is -3/4. Parallel slopes are the same, so that would be your parallel slope. If you want a perpendicular slope, you would take the negative reciprocal of the given slope, which would make that 4/3. So now you have a point and you have a slope. So what form of an equation do you think you're going to use? I hope you all said point slope, which is y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. That's point slope form. So if I have y minus y sub 1 is the y coordinate of our given point, which is 4, equals, we'll do parallel first. Parallel slope is -3/4 times x plus 6. Now we need to get this into standard form. So the way that I do this is in standard form you can have no fraction. So I'm going to get rid of that fraction right now by multiplying everything by 4, and you get 4y minus 16 equals -3x minus 18. Now getting in standard form, you move the x over to the other side, so 3x plus 4y. Move the constant over, and you should get -2. And there's your parallel line. Same idea for the perpendicular one, and you should get, same thing, y minus 4 equals, use your perpendicular slope, which is 4/3 times x plus 6. I ran out of room here. So that goes to 3y. Now I'm multiplying, getting the fraction out of there. 3y minus 12 equals 4x plus 24, and you would move that 4x over and you get -4x plus 3y equals 36. And make sure that you can't have negatives, so your final answer is going to be, sorry I ran out of room here, 4x minus 3y equals negative 36. This problem wants us to find the equation for a line determined by the points of intersections of these two parabolas that are given right here. So if I have a calculator, you could graph this to find the points of intersection using your math key. Your calc key, and going to intersection. Or, since this is a system, it's very easy, since they're both set equal to y, you can set them equal, and you get x squared equals 4x minus x squared. And I'm going to solve for the values of x. So if I do that, I have 0 equals 4x minus 2x squared. Factor that, and you get 2x times the quantity 2 minus x. So where does x equal 0? At 0 and 2. So if I know that x is 0 and 2, I can go back into that original equation there and say if y equals x squared, then if you have x is 0, y would be 0, and if x is 2, y is 4. Okay, now I have 2 points, and I want to continue to find the equation between those 2 points. First, I need a slope. So slope is your change in y over your change in x. So 4 minus 0 is 4, 2 minus 0 is 2, so I have a slope of 2. And then you can use either point. So if I'm in point slope form, I'm going to obviously use 0, 0. So I have y equals slope times x. And there's the equation for the line through those 2 points of intersections on those parabolas.